Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Davita B and this is the B Minimum. Alright, so let's get started. So for today's video, we're going to do my nighttime face routine, and we're also going to talk about boundaries. I just feel like this is the topic that I kind of want to talk about or touch on. I'm not really sure why, but I'm going to let the Holy Spirit guide me and hopefully help somebody out. Alright, so to begin with, today, side note, is exfoliation day. I'm supposed to exfoliate 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm just now starting. I got tired of my esthetician telling me to exfoliate while she's taking the extractions out, and I'm in pain. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start exfoliating this year. So yeah. For my face wash, I use La Roche-Posay's foaming purifying cleanser for normal to oily skin, and I love it. I've been using it since April of 2023, and I actually just bought this bottle yesterday. So a little goes a long way, I will say that. So I will say this is a good year and a half product that you can use. I know it says 12 months on the shelf life, but I do what I want. All right, so I'm gonna put this on. So I got this cute little set. It had this, a scrunchie, a sleeping mask, and socks from Target for like $5, and I really love it. So shout out to Target. I wasn't even going there for this. I just picked it up because I thought it was cute. All right, cool. Then I'm going to wash my hands because it's good to wash your hands before you touch your face. All right, so like I said, a little bit goes a long way. So my face is not wet. All right, so boundaries. What about boundaries? So the reason why I want to talk about this is actually a few weeks ago, my brother went to asking me for something per usual. I'm the oldest, he's the youngest, so this is not any shade. This is literally just the reality of being an older sibling. But he was asking me for something, and I'm like, no. And he said, why not? And I'm just like, because I have boundaries. And then he was like, all you have is boundaries. And I'm like, huh, you're right. Because if you know, as an older sibling, if you don't have boundaries, they will suck you dry. I'm not in the business for that. So, yeah, I have a lot of people, and I also have a close friend who says that I'm very strict, and I have strict boundaries as well. And I used to kind of take that in a way of like it was just whatever. But when my brother said it to me, it kind of snapped something in me that, okay, people probably don't have a lot of boundaries, and that's why they are in the situations that they get themselves into. That's probably why they don't have a lot of peace either. So just wanted to talk about boundaries today. Yeah, so I just kind of rub this in for a minute because you're supposed to rub it in for about a minute. Anyways, so what are boundaries and what are they not? So for me, boundaries are me putting rules or structure into my life that cultivate peace. It's not me being selfish, because the Bible wants us to cultivate peace and to be at peace with one another. And I feel like boundaries really help with that, because if I don't tell you that I don't like something or I don't want you to do something, but I'm mad at you, how am I at peace? Because I never told you I didn't like something. So I can't be at peace if I didn't tell you something. So that's why I believe boundaries are super, super important. Boundaries are guidelines, structure, rule that you may have or may have not communicated. I do believe you should communicate your boundaries. However, that can get a little bit tricky, I feel like, sometimes. But just know you can't have high expectations for people if you don't communicate your boundaries. I'm learning, okay? I'm saying this, but I'm also learning at the same time as well. So yes, I'm going to wash this off now. Okay, so my face is washed. So what are boundaries not? For me, boundaries are not me being petty. Boundaries should not be something where it's okay, I'm gonna be petty. Let me have this rule, let me have this guideline. I don't believe that's what boundaries are. An example of that would be if I had a baby father and I just want to be petty towards him, and I'm like, you can't see your son, blah, 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 blah. That's not a boundary, that's me being petty. Unless obviously the baby father just coming in and out, that's different. But if the father genuinely wants to be in the baby's life, everything is good, and you're just being petty, that's not a boundary. Okay, so I also got this exfoliator from Ulta the other day. It's the Good Molecules Pineapple exfoliating powder. I'm gonna try this because, like I said, I'm tired of my esthetician telling me to exfoliate. So I'm gonna try this. So a boundary is supposed to be a guard and not a wall. And the Bible tells us to guard our hearts above all else, you know. And a guard does not mean a wall. So that doesn't mean don't let anybody in. It just means to have like different perimeters, different guards. So it's not a wall. A guard has like, or a railing. So you know how you can still like see in between like the railings? That's how our heart should be. It should be guarded in that sense, as opposed to being a stone cold wall. Listen, I'm working on this as well, so I'm preaching to the choir, okay? So it's like when you put up a boundary, it's not supposed to be like, well, some boundaries are a hard stop, but not all of them are supposed to be. So another important thing with boundaries are like, I think knowing your why is super, super, super important, because if you don't know why you have them, it's easy for you to lose sight of why you have them in the first place. Oh crap, I didn't know like that much would pour out. Dang, not me wasting the product. Hold on. So it's a good practice to know why. I'm making a mess, okay? It's a good practice to know why you have your boundaries to begin with, because a lot of times we may have a boundary, but because we don't really have a why and we just put them up there just like for fun, basically, it's easy for people to break those boundaries and you really have no control over that because you didn't have a why. So I think it's very important for you to have a why on why your boundaries are there. If you know that you can't be caking up with a man after a certain time and he's sweet talking you and you know you fall in love within 2 seconds, set the boundary, baby girl. Set the boundary, okay? If you know that you can't have snacks in the house because you're gonna eat all of them, set the boundary and don't have them in your house. It's just that simple. Yeah, so make sure you have your why, because once you have your why, it'll help you stick to them in the end, especially with like finances. Like if you know you want to go to South America at the end of the year and people want to go out to dinner, they want to go out to Fogo de Chao, they want to go out to where people be going? I don't be going out for real. But when people want to go out, they want to take trips out of the country, they want to do this and that, and you know you can't do that, have your boundary, because your why, you will be reminded that like, hey, you want to go to South America later this year, so you shouldn't be out here smoking the hookahs and doing this and that. I'm just saying. Yeah, so knowing your why is very important. Oh, this feels good. It's a little tingly, I'm not gonna lie. How long am I supposed to stay in my skin for? Okay, this actually feels really good. It feels really good. I will say it does have a tingle to it. It's probably the pineapple working. You know, I should have tested this out because I realized I could be allergic to this and I have no idea. Love that for me. Oh well, we are already here. For me, I personally believe keeping boundaries can be tough because, like I said, if you don't have a why, it's easy for you to lose sight of them. But also I think keeping them are important so people don't play with you. If you want to be played with, don't have boundaries. But if you want people to take you serious and not take you for idiot, have boundaries, okay? So I think that's why it's important to keep them so people know not to play with you. But people also know, hey, you have a standard and a structure for your life and this is how you live it. If they are not comfortable with that, that's okay. They're not meant to be in your life, or maybe you can love them from a distance. But for them to be in your life and for people to not be respectful of your boundaries, that's a lot about them. So you should move accordingly. So yeah, I think it's important to keep boundaries because it shows people the kind of person you are. It shows people that you are somebody to be respected, somebody who doesn't just let anybody walk all over them. And just for yourself too, it just shows yourself that you value yourself, that you have self-worth. Okay, so now that that's washed off my face, it feels really good. So now some tips on how to have boundaries, or how to keep them, how to have good ones. My first tip would be, like I said, what's your why? Write down why you have the boundary and write down its importance and how that affects you, how that keeps you in peace, and how to guard and not a wall. So that's my number one tip for like how to have a boundary. Another tip with how to keep boundaries are to understand why you have them, but also understand what's the root of everything. So a lot of times we don't have boundaries, or we let people cross over our boundaries, is because we're trying to people please. And in Galatians 1 verse 10, it talks about how we are not here to please people. We are not here to please man. We're here to only please God. Whenever you feel like letting your boundary down or letting your guard down, remember, are you trying to please man or are you trying to please God? So once you figure out that, it'll be a little bit easier. So for example, if my friends wanted to go out to dinner, but I know I only got $50 left in my bank account and I need that $50 to pay for electricity bill. Also, I'm using this hyaluronic acid toner. I really enjoy Korean products, and being that it's cold in Florida, I need to hydrate my face as much as I can. So, especially since I exfoliate as well, so I need to hydrate, and hydrate some more. So this is just hyaluronic acid toner. It's just really to just put moisture back into my face. That's really it. Yeah, what was I saying? I don't remember. But basically I was saying, like, if I only have $50 left in my account that's supposed to be allocated towards utilities, and I know my friends want to go out, my boundary is, I don't want to be in debt. So if my decision is between going out to eat and not going out to eat, is people pleasing, and staying home is not, basically. So especially when God calls us to be good stewards of what he gives us. So being a good steward is staying home. Going out is people pleasing. Yeah, so that's another tip I would say. Figure out if you're trying to please man or if you're trying to please God. That is a very big indicator of whether or not, like, you're not keeping your boundaries. I'm going in with this snail mucin. It's another Korean product, if I'm not mistaken. This is a great hydrator, so I love it. And then I think one of my last tips would be, and how to keep your boundaries, are to surround yourself with people who don't want to cross your boundaries, and to surround yourself with people who keep you accountable with your boundaries. I think that's very important, because a lot of times we have a boundary, we have rules for ourselves, but if we're not in the right environment, oh, I put too much, please hold. If we're not in the right environment, it's easy for us to get caught up. It's easy for us to, break certain boundaries that we have for ourselves. So I would definitely say, make sure you're in an environment or have people around you who are going to hold you accountable. An example would friends know that you're not drinking, and you guys go out to dinner or wherever that may be, and someone's like, you should just take one shot, like, or your friends are like, come on, just one shot, I don't want to hurt you. See, that's people pushing your boundaries. That's people not respecting your boundaries, and people won't take you serious after that. I feel like if you want people to take you serious, stand on your word, okay? Boundaries are standing on your word. When you said no, your no meant no. And it doesn't matter what people have to say, people call you this and that. It is what it is. Clearly, they are not, like, people you should be around. But who am I? So yes, I believe that you should be in an environment where people are going to encourage you. People are going to hold you accountable, as opposed to allowing you to fall in that trap. So yeah. Okay, but do you see the skin? We're almost done. Yeah, all right, so lastly, I go on with this Ilion. This is another Korean product. Listen, I love Korean products, okay? This is Ilion Ceramide Atos Concentrate. Listen, I don't know, but I had a coworker recommend some Korean products to me, and I never went back. Yeah, so I think that's it on boundaries. My main thing that I do want to stress is it's okay to give yourself grace when you do let a boundary, like if you do let somebody cross a boundary or you aren't strict on a certain boundary. I do understand that we are human and things happen, but definitely I would say give yourself grace when you feel like, dang, like I messed up, I shouldn't have let this happen, this shouldn't have happened, or I messed up. It's okay to mess up. We are human. I don't think anybody's expecting perfection from anybody. And God isn't expecting perfection from us either. So it is okay if you mess up. It's okay if, things don't go the way they're supposed to. However, just get back on. Just get back on the train. It's okay if you mess up the first time, but just continue to progress. And yeah. I said boundaries are super important. I think we all need them. We all need boundaries in order to cultivate a life of peace. God has boundaries. He has a lot of God has boundaries for us, so I feel like we should have boundaries for each other or in our lives as well. Yeah, I think that's it. So that is all. This is the face. At night, I go to sleep glowing. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned something. Let me know what you think about boundaries. How are you with boundaries? Are they easy for you? Are they hard? Do you feel like it's just like, oh man, like I can't do this? Like, what's tea? Let me know in the comments. All right, well, that is all for this week's video. I will see you guys next week. See ya. My face looks so good. That's so crazy to me. Oh, my face looks so good. Look, and I just got my brows done today too. Yeah.